You know, before today, if someone asked me what the perfect vehicle to take across a continent would be, the answer would have been simple: the Toyota Land Cruiser. I mean, yes, not only is it very reliable, but it's also safe and very comfortable and extremely refined. Well, I may have to tweak that answer just a little bit today, because take a look at this new monster in front of me. This is the Mercedes-AMG GLS 63 AMG. This is a 3-row crossover with over 600 horsepower. The largest Mercedes in their SUV lineup now has the AMG treatment, and we're going to take a look at all the cool things that make it tick and what you need to know with the unique features behind this crazy SUV. Now let's start out with the style. And the first thing you're going to notice immediately are the wheels, and we're going to address that right off the block, because you guys are either really going to love them, or let me know in the comments below how much you really don't, because this is an old school AMG style. It's called a monoblock, and older E-classes and other AMGs would have had this style wheel. Something like a W210 E55 AMG would have had a style like this, and it's got a huge center portion with 5 spokes around the edge. And in this application, they're a matte black finish. But the crazy thing is just the dimensions of these wheels, because when you see the whole car, they really don't look all that crazy. And then you get closer and you realize just how large they are. These are 23-inch wheels. That is pretty staggering in itself. The front tires are 285/40 ZR23s, but the rear tires, any guesses? Anyone want to take a stab? Nope, you're totally wrong. These are 325 width tires. 325 width tires. Incredible. They're actually Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's, because Mercedes says that the GLS 63 has a top speed of 174 miles an hour, electronically limited, so it has to have a performance summer tire so that you and 6 of your best friends can hit the Autobahn and blow M5 doors off, at least the previous generations. Now, what else do you need to know about this Mercedes? Well, let's pop the hood and take a look at what makes it tick. The engine is a little bit unique in this new model because, yes, it's a 4-liter V8 with twin turbos, but now it uses something called EQ Boost, which is a 48-volt mild hybrid system. Not only does that boost efficiency, but Mercedes says it can potentially give a little boost in extra horsepower and torque off the line and help smooth things out in general. So, 4-liter V8 bi-turbo. It's a hot V configuration, which means the turbos live inside the V of the V8. You can see them poke through right there. Handcrafted by... I'm sorry, sir, I cannot read your handwriting, but you've done one heck of a job. But anyways, the gentleman who handcrafted this engine gave it 603 horsepower and 627 pound-feet of torque, and then wrapped it in carbon fiber. So it's a good engine to look at, and man, does it go. Mercedes says that the GLS 63 will do 0 to 60 in 4.1 seconds, and all that power and torque is mated to a 9-speed automatic, not a dual clutch, a conventional automatic with a torque converter. Now, to put the power to the ground, Mercedes uses their latest 4MATIC Plus all-wheel drive system, and they say they can distribute torque front and back up to 100% of power and torque going to the rear wheels, and then of course 50 to the front for handling and also for snow and other 4-wheel drive situations, which we'll get to in a second. Of course, it can also distribute torque left and right, and that's all in pursuit of making this ginormous SUV handle, because it really is huge. Look at the grille and look at the size of that emblem. It's about the same size as my hand, and this would look completely out of place on something like a C-Class, but somehow on the big GLS it works perfectly. I really actually do like this color combo. This is a kind of a monochromatic white on black, and I don't have pricing for you today. That's actually embargoed until a later date, as are driving impressions, but we can certainly take a look at the interior and some of the absurd things going on inside as well. So first of all, soft closed doors. And you're probably thinking, oh, all this stuff probably makes it quite heavy, and you would be right, because there are a couple approaches to making a vehicle handle, to making a vehicle perform in a straight line. The first approach would be to reduce weight, like the Civic Type R Limited Edition. remove the rear wiper and some doodads on the interior, make it a little bit lighter, and really reduce every ounce you can. Well, that's never been the AMG approach. The AMG approach is more, let's put leather and electric everything and suede and every gizmo imaginable. Oh, and then we'll just give it a bajillion horsepower and a bunch of handling tech, and that's what we're going to do. And this is exactly what's gone on with the GLS here. So it's super, super luxurious. Not only do we have the soft closed doors, but check this out. Full electric seats with power headrests, front and rear. That's right, that was not a typo. Front and rear power seats. On the second row, I've got to move forward, I've got to recline, and even power headrest. That is just an absurd amount of luxury for an AMG product. But that's what you get when you step up to the big dog AMG. Now let's see what the startup procedure is like. First off, you get the grille welcoming you and the AMG there in the center. And then to start it up, foot on brake, push the button, and it just simply comes to life. Turn down that volume. Let's turn down the airflow a little bit here so you can hear me now. This is a digital piece de resistance. So not only do we have a digital instrument cluster, but we have a digital center console. Of course, this is the MBUX system with Hey Mercedes and all the connectivity that you'd ever want, such as Apple CarPlay. Let's go home. You can see phone, navigation, radio, media, and different themes as well, so I can set it up for an adventure. That'll turn the gauges into off-roady settings. So we've got inclinometers and 4MATIC info. Let's go back home. We also have performance settings as well. So I can go to lounge, standard, experience, and racetrack even. Racetrack in a 3-row SUV. There we go. Unbelievable. Warning! Use this only on racetracks. Yes, absolutely. No, that's never going to happen. But it's cool that it's here. Now, let me adjust the position just a little bit on this model so that you can kind of get a better look at some of the expensive doodads that we have floating around here. So first of all, AMG style steering wheel. This is a 3-spoke design with carbon fiber throughout. Carbon fiber on the top, carbon fiber on the bottom, flat bottom steering wheel. And look at this, it has a little center marker here so you know where up and down is, where the vertical is. This is your drive mode selector, so we have a number of drive modes ranging from slippery to individual, comfort, sport, sport plus, but there's a couple others such as trail and sand, and every drive mode configures the engine, transmission, and chassis, suspension, and exhaust for the right terrain. And in the sand mode, let's see if you can see this, it actually raises the air suspension just over 2 inches so you have a little bit more clearance to get over the obstacles. Okay, can we talk about that for a sec though? 23-inch wheels and performance summer tires. Sand and trail is a little bit optimistic. And good luck trying to find a BFG in a 23. That is never going to happen. But it's cool that it's here. I love that you've got the different Sport and Sport Plus settings. And if you kind of want to configure it the way you want, you can do individual, or you can simply use these little knobs down here. So for example, I can turn on my sports exhaust just by a button, raise and lower the suspension, manual mode on the paddle shifters, which are brilliant. They're metal, they're cold, and they shift the gears up and down depending on of course, your rev range. That was the most obvious thing I've ever said in my life. I apologize. But gear selector, wipers here on the left, fairly standard light controls with your parking brake there. On the window controls, 4 power windows, of course, 1 touch down on everything. And the rear windows even have a shade which can be operated from this little switch if it's equipped. This one isn't equipped with a shade, but some of them are. I was in an emerald green earlier one. I was in an emerald green one earlier that had the rear shades. So there's a lot of options on this vehicle that have yet to really been kind of announced and explored. That'll be coming soon. And Mercedes says that the GLS 63 will be in dealerships in the middle of this year, mid-2020. So what else do we have here? Well, apart from being a full touchscreen system here, you can actually also use this little trackpad, much like the older Lexus systems. So I can scroll through and then click and select. And I just selected one of the cooler pages here on this Mercedes, which are the AMG pages. So we have track telemetry. We also have AMG performance, so I can see what the engine's doing. For example, when I rev it up, you can see the torque and horsepower, temperatures, consumption, and then your dynamic setups as well. It's all in there. In the center console, a lot of storage. This has a piano black finish with the carbon fiber. You can also get a wood finish throughout here. I much prefer that. This carbon fiber is cool, but it looks a little silly in a 3-row crossover. That's one step too far. And this piano black, it just scratches so easily. But here we actually have heated and cooled cup holders. They turn red or blue depending on what the setting is. Your Qi wireless charging there. A couple of USB-C ports. And then in the middle here, a generous size center console. Decent sized glove box as well. And then, of course, your full panoramic sunroof. All right, so there's the front seat overview in the Mercedes GLS 63, and let's take a quick peek into the second and third rows. Now, the second row is downright massive. It's huge. Look at that legroom. It is enormous. You can see some of the color light accents, which you can change and configure completely to your style. Tons of legroom, tons of headroom, even with the panoramic sunroof. Of course, I showed this a little bit earlier, but you've got full seat adjustability front and rear. I mean, it's so configurable. This is like sitting in the back of a limousine. This is wood, which bugs me a little bit because it doesn't match the carbon fiber up front. Certain trims that they have here on this press strip actually do have a matching wood trim, but looks like on this one you've got wood against carbon fiber. That's not to my preference, but climate controls back here, and even look at that, second row seat heating. Now, how do you get into the third row? Well, it takes a little bit of patience because it's fully electric, which may seem like a good thing, but it is quite slow. So you engage the process and it slides forward and then it tilts, and I'm just like, come on. If I had a lever, I'd be back and in the third row by now. So a little bit slow if you're constantly using the third row. And then when you're back here, you can control the third row using the switch, and everything slides right back into position. Just got to watch your toes. It's actually a pretty good third row. This competes with vehicles like the BMW X7. Of course, there's no X7M yet, so we'll have to wait and see if BMW responds. But third row in this is pretty comparable to the X7 in my opinion. A couple USB ports, and it's even available in third row heated seats, depending on how much luxury you want. But once again, okay, 1000, 2, 1003, 1004, 1005, 1006, 1007, 1008, 9, 1000. 10 seconds or so for the seat to fold before you can completely get out of the vehicle. How about the trunk? What's the storage capacity like in the trunk? Okay, hang on. Sorry, I gotta go through this process. For some reason, going down, you actually have to push and hold as well. It's a minor thing, I know, and you're probably going to rip me apart in the comments, but it is a little annoying if you need the third row consistently. The trunk is as huge as you would expect. Just massive. I've got my carry-on and my camera bag back here, even with the third row up, plenty of space, and I can fold the third row using these little switches here. Come on. Okay, well, I should be able to. There they go. So third row down, and I can even fold the second row from back here as well by simply pushing those buttons, and off they go. And when you fold down both sets of seats, my goodness, do you have a lot of room. Easily, I'm 6'1", I could fully lay down back here, no problem whatsoever. And take a look at this little switch. Because this is air suspension, you can raise and lower the rear end for easy loading of bigger items. It really is amazing how much performance you can get out of these vehicles nowadays, and with a small displacement too. I mean, in the past, we've seen Mercedes-AMGs with displacements well over 6 liters with far less horsepower and torque than this 4-liter twin turbo. So the future of AMG, in my opinion, is most likely going to be electric, because I see that trend coming in the automotive industry. But Mercedes and BMW and all of the German manufacturers really have pushed the internal combustion engine so far to what it's capable of. It's blown away, I think, even kind of the most skeptical of internal combustion critics, because the fact that you can take an SUV like this, make it go 0 to 60 in 4.1 seconds, and then dial it into comfort and simply cruise along is truly remarkable. And they should be really commended for that, because that takes a lot of engineering. Now guys, let me know in the comment section below, what do you think of the Mercedes-Benz GLS 63 AMG? And be sure to stay tuned to TFL Car, because we've got more news coming on this, as well as the GLE 63S, the smaller cousin, in the near future. Head over to tflcar.com for the latest and greatest in new car reviews. Ciao!